Hi guys, today we're starting on Unit 5, Lesson 1, pages 221, page 222, and page 223. Time can be a little bit tricky for a lot of people, so I am just going to go really slow. And as we get going on things, we're actually going to do some flashcards practice too, where we're going to be looking at the time on flashcards and answering in our meetings. The other thing that's going to be slightly different this time is I am going to make sure to use my teacher book so that I can make sure to be talking about all the things that we need to be talking about. And so you may see that come into the screen every once in a while, and just don't be surprised when you see that. I'm just trying to do as complete of a job as possible. The other thing that's a little bit different this time is I will be working right on the paper, and that means that I'm going to be writing in pencil, and I'll be trying to make sure that you can see it, but sometimes pencil just doesn't show up as well as other stuff, the markers that I usually use. But if I write in pen, it'll go right through these, and it'll make it hard for me to do the other side with you. So the first thing we're going to talk about, just real quick, is what are clocks? Clocks are just a way that we as human beings keep track of the passage of time, and we organize a lot of our lives around clocks, and we have kind of agreed that we all believe in time, and because we believe in time, we can show up to places and meet at the same time and all that kind of stuff. So I first want to ask you, what kinds of clocks have you seen? All right, so the one thing that we notice right away is we notice these round clocks. So let's go ahead and write round clocks right on those blue lines. What do those round clocks have on them? They have numbers. And what else do they have on them? What else do round clocks have on them? Yeah, the pointers that we call hands. I'm just going to write a plus here because I forgot to write the word and. So you should have that written on your paper as well. So as time passes, what happens on these clocks? What do the hands do on these clocks as time passes? Yeah, the hands go around. And they point at the numbers, and they show us the different times and the minutes that have passed and what time it is now. Then there's another kind of clock, and it looks like this, like the watch that I'm wearing. What do you notice about, oh come on, about that kind of clock? What do you notice about that? So this kind of clock is called an analog clock. This one is called a digital clock. And what you notice about that is it's just the numbers. Let's see, often it will say AM or PM, but this one does not say that. So this one tells the hour, the minute, and then it tells the seconds as they're going by. They have two dots in between, so if it was 9 o'clock, it has two dots that look like that. And so this is the digital clock. This is the analog clock. And you can see that written right there, analog clock. What kinds of clocks do you see at your house more often? Yeah, a lot of us see these digital, whoops. This is also measures my exercise, which I haven't done yet today. These also measure, I forget what I had just said. I said, I don't remember. Anyway, I got so distracted by my exercise tracking. So analog clocks, how many numbers does an analog clock have on it? Do you know? And I noticed straight away that the 12 is always in the same place. So how, does that mean that we have the same numbers in the same spots all the time? Yes, it does. The 12 is always at the top. The 3 is always halfway down the right-hand side. The 6 is always in the center bottom. The 9 is always halfway up the left-hand side. So let's go ahead and fill in these clocks. So they go in clockwise order, which means that they go to the right first and then go all the way around. So this one's missing a 2, a 4, an 8, 10, 11. So all we're doing is putting the numbers on these guys. Go ahead and finish out each of these. This dark line that's right there, that's where the number should be next to. So right now, I'm gonna go ahead and get this clock out. And what I'm gonna do, and you should be doing this too, is I'm gonna grab my scissors, and I'm just gonna cut the very bottom of this off. And then I'm going to cut out the hour hand and the minute hand. I'll give you about 5 minutes to do this. So just let me know in the chat when you're done by typing the word done. All right, unfortunately at the school, they didn't have any what are called brads. And brads are those things that poke through the paper and hold things together. If you have a brad, you can certainly make one of, you can certainly put it together. If you don't have a brad, it's not a big deal. If you don't have a brad, you just go ahead and stack those up, put one dot on the other, and you hold your pencil on there, and you can move your clock around. Since I have a brad, I'm going to go ahead and poke it and put it together. I'm assuming not everybody has brads, and that's just fine. Not a big deal at all. But I just want to make sure that we kind of play with some clocks a little bit. So sad when the school didn't have any brads. It's unusual. That was a big sign that we have not been in person, because that's something that we always have at our school. Okay, so my clock looks like this now. Before we get going on finding times and stuff, and I do want you to keep this in a safe spot so that it doesn't get lost and we can refer back to it over and over. What do you notice about the hour hand and the minute hand? All right, so we noticed that one is long and one is short. The hour hand is the shorter one, and the minute hand is the longer one. So if I were to put this here and this here, the hour is pointing at the 6. The minutes are pointing up at the 12, and the 12 is kind of like saying 0. That's where the whole clock starts over. So this time is 6 o'clock. I'll go ahead and write that. You don't have to write that. So that's 6 o'clock. What if I made my hour hand point over here? What time would it be then? All right, so the hour hand, which is the shorter one, points at the hour or close to the hour. What time is it now? Okay, so we are already good at reading that time when it's the exactly 6 o'clock. Now here's a question for you. Do we know if that is 6 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the evening? We don't, do we? We just know that it's 6 o'clock. So the interesting thing about a clock is the hours go around twice. So in one full day, there are 24 hours. 12 plus 12 is 24. And so we see 1 o'clock in the morning. We also see 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There's 2 o'clock in the morning. There's also 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There's 9 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock in the evening. There's 11 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock at night. So we have 2 times the hours hit throughout the day. So what is an activity that you might do at this time in the morning, at 6 o'clock in the morning? Okay, now what if it was 6 o'clock at night? What activity might you be doing at 6 o'clock at night? All right, so if we're looking at those times, at nighttime, it is PM. In the morning or daytime, it is AM. But not always, because anytime after noon is PM, anytime after midnight is AM. So 12 to 12, oh, it's so hard to say. So AM is generally in the morning, PM is in the afternoon and the evening. We sleep a lot in that morning part. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and look at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. This says right here, an analog clock has a long hand that is the minute hand and a short hand that is the hour hand. Now we're gonna ring the hour hand on the clock. Which one is the hour hand? Is it the long one or short one, everybody? So let's go ahead and ring the hour hand. I'm gonna pause while you do that. All right, now the next one says ring the minute hand. Is the minute hand the long or the short one? All right, go ahead and ring the minute hand on each of these. So far, so good, right? So far, we're doing pretty good. Now, I'll get back to the AM and PM stuff. I realized a moment ago I was getting a little ahead of myself. It says we use AM for the hours after 12 midnight and before 12 noon. 9 AM is 9 o'clock in the morning. We use PM for the hours after 12 noon and before 12 o'clock midnight. 9 PM is 9 o'clock in the evening. Now number 11 says complete the chart. For each time listed, write whether it is dark or light outside, whether it is morning, afternoon, or evening, and an activity you might do at that time. So at 12:30 p.m., so that is right before we have our afternoon meeting. Go ahead and fill that in. What is it like outside? Is it dark or light? What part of the day is it? Morning, afternoon, evening? And what might you be doing at 12:30 in the afternoon? All right, and what about 9 p.m.? 9 p.m. Remember, a.m. is from midnight until noon. p.m. is from afternoon until midnight. So 9 p.m. Is it dark or light? What part of the day? And what might you be doing? So I said brushing teeth because that's kind of getting ready for bed. All right, now it says, for each activity, ring the most appropriate time. Brush your teeth in the morning. Would you do that at 1:30 p.m., 3 o'clock p.m., or 7:30 a.m.? What about eating dinner at night? What time would you do that? At 5 a.m., 12 noon, or 6 p.m.? And lastly, when would you watch an afternoon movie? At 3 a.m., 2 p.m., or 6 p.m.? Yeah, 6 p.m. is usually when we have dinner. 3 a.m., hopefully you're all asleep. So I would like to see a picture of, I think, yeah, both sides. And then this, just make sure you keep this in a safe spot so we can use it again next time we're working with time. Thank you, friends.